Hello, welcome to Wilson's Barbecue. In this video I'm going to be giving you my recipe and my method for the best fried chicken, and I'm going to be taking it up a level by cooking it in beef tallow. So beef tallow or beef fat, beef dripping is really popular at the moment on briskets, makes it look nice and shiny, gives it a little bit more oiliness and a richer flavour. But it's also really good for all types of frying. If you want to know how you can make your own beef tallow, you can click the link up here. If not, you can just go out and buy it. I think you can buy it on Amazon if you're in the US, and in the UK you could just go to the shop and buy plenty of beef dripping. And also I'm just going to give you some general tips along the way on how to make really good fried chicken. So we're going to start off today just with some chicken thighs and some drumsticks, and what we're going to be doing is adding flavour at every single stage to this chicken. So we're starting off with just some hot sauce. I'm using some Valentina's. You could use Cholula or Frank's Red Hot, anything you like. It's not going to add a lot of spiciness, but it will add some flavour. And then we're going to go in with some Lawrys seasoning salt. So you could just use regular salt, any kind of flavourings you want, aromat or any kind of chicken salt. This again is just adding layers of flavour at every single stage, and that will mean that your chicken will be flavourful all throughout rather than just having really tasty skin and bland chicken. And then we're going to put in some buttermilk. So I'm going to use about 100 ml of buttermilk, and this is going to kind of serve two purposes. It's going to keep the chicken nice and moist, but also the enzymes in the buttermilk are going to help to tenderize that chicken. We just want to make sure it's nicely coated, and we'll be ready to pop that into the fridge for around 5 hours today. You could do it overnight, you could do it for 4 to 6 hours. The longer the better, I think, but I probably wouldn't go any more than 24 hours. So we're going to get this into the fridge. It's just going to sit in there with some cling film on top, and then we're going to get on to making our seasoning flour. So this is where all that crispy delicious flavour comes from in the skin. We're going to start off with 2 cups of plain flour. You can use gluten-free flour. I've done that for me and my wife, and I think it maybe comes out a little bit crispier. Then 2 tablespoons of Lawrys seasoning salt. This stuff works great on brisket and ribs and anything really. It's just a really good savoury flavouring. A tablespoon of black pepper, 2 tablespoons of paprika, a tablespoon of onion salt, a tablespoon of granulated garlic, and then we're going to go in with some dried herbs. Make sure you break them down into a fine powder, as if they're too big they'll just burn, and you want them to be dispersed all the way through the seasoning flour. So we're going to go basil, thyme and oregano. About a teaspoon of white pepper, about a teaspoon of ginger, a teaspoon of mustard powder, and to add a little bit more chicken flavour is gravy granules. I'm just using the Bisto brand. You can use whatever you want, probably not the ones that are too big. You're looking for a fine powder. Give that all a whisk in, make sure it's all incorporated, and then we can put some cling film or a lid on top, and we can just save this until we need it later. So this is just a good foundation. This is my recipe for fried chicken. You won't find it anywhere else. This is what I've been using for the last year or so, but make it your own. So set this aside, and we'll be back in about 5 hours to cook the chicken. Right, so the chicken's been in the fridge for about 5 hours. We need to take it out about 30 to 45 minutes before we're going to cook, just so we're not putting ice cold chicken into the oil. So we'll go get that out now. Just before that, we've got some beef tallow here just starting to warm up. It's melted. It's probably going to take about half an hour. We're going to get it up to 350 Fahrenheit or about 180 Celsius. So we've got the chicken out of the fridge. Give that a little mix around, and that's just going to warm up just a little bit, just so it's not ice cold. So while the chicken's coming up and the oil's coming up, we're going to make a few other things. So we've just got some plain flour, and this is going to just coat the chicken before we go in our dredge. There's about a cup in there, and I'm going to go in with salt, pepper and Lawrys. So that's pretty much just plain flour, and then we're going to go in with our dredge. So we've got just about a cup of flour, about 200 ml of buttermilk, 2 eggs, and about half a cup of milk. Then just whisk that around, and then we're going to add some water just to loosen it up. This is only going to be used to help the seasoning flour stick. So I've added probably about a quarter cup of water to this, and the consistency is pretty loose. So we have our 3 bowls. We've got obviously our chicken, which is coming up to temperature. We've got our base coat. We've got our dredge, which is just milk, eggs, flour, the wet component, and then we've got that seasoning flour which we made earlier, which is all the spices and really where the flavour is. So the order that we're going to do it in is chicken into here, into here, into here, and then I'm going to show you a little tip here to make sure that you get some real crunchy, craggly skin chicken.
Crunchy, craggly skin chicken?
Yeah, if that's the thing, is it?
Yeah.
Craggly?
Craggly?
So our oil is nearly up to temperature. We're at about 300 at the moment. We're aiming for 350. So I'm going to start getting these pieces of chicken dredged, and I will show you how I do that. Here's our chicken. It's pretty dry. What I've done is just use my hand to scrape off any excess, because we don't need anything, any of that buttermilk on there. So we're just going to firstly put it in our plain flour with, it's actually got some salt in it, and then just get rid of all the extra, and this is going to help this stick. So again, wipe off all the excess, and this step also means that the chicken skin isn't going to flake off. It should stick nicely to the chicken. So once we've done that, put it into our seasoning flour, use our dry hand. Now this is the bit that a lot of people miss, but the key here to getting good fried chicken is to squeeze that seasoning flour in. And if you think you're squeezing enough, then you're not. So really pack all that flour in there, and then tap it like this, and then what you're left with is that looks like that, and that's how you get all those little cornflakey looking pieces. So we'll just keep doing that to all the rest of the chicken, and we should be ready to go. So this is all the chicken ready to go. It doesn't look too good on camera right now, but hopefully you can see just kind of how kind of crinkly everything is, almost like a cornflake crust, and that is because we packed it in real tight when it comes to the seasoning flour. So what we need to do is get these into the oil now. These will take maybe about 16 minutes, 17 minutes. That's the drums, and the thighs will probably take about 18 minutes. So let's get them in. So my thermometer is showing about 360, but I'm going to double check that with my thermopen. Pretty bang on. Right, so we're going to go in with these thicker drumsticks first, and then we'll hit the thighs. We're going to try not to overcrowd the pan, just so we don't want the oil to drop in temperature too much, and we don't want the oil to spill over as well. So we'll just put 3 in there for now. So I started the timer. Probably check these in about 5 minutes, just to see how they're getting on with colour, making sure they're not sticking to the bottom. And then after about 15 minutes, or when they're looking nice and golden, I'm going to start checking them with my thermopen. So I'm actually going to take them out, stick the probe in right into the centre. They're up 165 Fahrenheit, then we are good to go. I've also got the oven on at the moment at about 150 Fahrenheit, just a warming temperature. And when they come out, they'll go into a rack, go into the oven. I'll continue with the rest of the batch until we're done. So we've got the next batch in at the moment. This is the thighs, and colour's looking good. Just temping them with the thermopen. About 103 at the moment, looking for 165. Colour's looking good. So we're still going on one piece over here, but this has just come out. This is temp checked with the thermopen, reading 165 Fahrenheit. Nice and crispy. So these are just going to go into the oven, and I'll finish up the rest. Right, so that is all the fried chicken done. Checked with the thermopen. So now we're just going to pile it all up. There we go, tallow fried chicken. It's quite dark in this light. It's not as dark as this in real life. There are definitely some bits that maybe got overcooked, just where the internal wasn't getting up to temp and the oil was pretty hot, but hopefully you can see it's got a good colour on it. Very crunchy. Some pickles on there. So let's give it a go. TFC, my tallow fried chicken. Oh, I should have let this cool down. So juicy. That's so good. And that tallow takes it to a different level of flavour. Pickle. There we go, that's my tallow fried chicken. TFC, that's what I'm going to call it. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and more barbecue focused ones. Go follow me on Instagram, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you again in a couple of weeks for a new video. So good.